Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for all your support and love and supporting me by liking my videos and keep subbing to my channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope my video had made some positive impact on your watch journey or just give you a bit of love in terms of what you're doing in life, okay? So I appreciate being here. Thank you very much. Now, with that out of the way, as I promised, I'm gonna do a full video and review of how I feel about my monsters over the last week of purchasing the watch. So the watch has been my wrist for about a week. Every day I want to make sure I wear it for at least 3, 4, 5 hours to get the best out of it. But again, there are a few things I want to say in additional to what has been said, and I hope that will help you as well. Okay, so again, the main character of today is our beautiful monster. This is a Generation 2 monster dating back almost a decade ago. The model number is SRP455, a limited edition. Guys, if you know this watch already, you know what this is, representing the greatest design of a monster, at least in my and many of the collectors' eyes. But furthermore, the colorway of this superior blue limited edition is absolutely fantastic. As you see, I've taken the original strap off and replaced with a strap code. Actually, this bracelet used to be on my SRP17. So a 20 millimeter Angus Super Jubilee bracelets with the two-tone finishes. I think it looks superb on this monster, okay? But again, this monster is very hard to find. I'm going to talk about my experience and my journey with it, and I hope it's going to help you, okay? And the second watch I'm going to bring to the discussion, of course, you know, the way that I talk about my watches is really come from a holistic perspective. Guys, the reason why we have many iconic Seiko divers and shapes and designs in our collections because we believe we can find common spirits among them, and if you can't get one, you can get another. You can get something similar out of it because they're all legends, and this one is another legend. I believe surely a future collectible item. It is a King Samurai, a release about a year and a half ago, Asia exclusive model, so probably harder to get if you're in any other part of the world. But I've just checked on the prices on them. You can still find on eBay for about between 500 to 550 US. Of course, if you're buying outside of Australia, again, I was looking at the retailer in Australia. So if you're buying any part of the other world, you'll be paying shipping and taxes. But I believe you can land this watch anywhere in the world for between 60 to 660. Hopefully, if you do get that, you'll be loving it. Okay, so I absolutely love this monster. Sorry, excuse me. I absolutely love this samurai because I believe this is a great pair of iconic Seiko divers. That's not ordinary divers. They speak to me in a very exotic, very interesting way. I'm loving them. I love those two colorways. They play tremendously against with each other. I'm loving them. Okay, so just to show you what I have here, of course, the samurai I've decided to pair it out with the ankle strap, razor wire bracelet. I'm really glad that I decided to put a trigger on this bracelet because the bracelet and this watch is a pair that I made in heaven. Wearability, look of it, astonishing. Okay, and same goes to that monster. I really love how this bracelet paired up with the monster. I'm really loving it. I think it's gorgeous. Okay, now guys, so a couple things about this monster, how I felt out in the last 5 days. As we know, monster has a cult following behind them. Generation 2 is the generation that I believe truly that carries the most iconic design, especially we're talking about that shark tease in all the indices. Guys, it is so ridiculously designed. No wonder why Seiko's not releasing those indices in any of their watches again. It is because it is just so bizarre, but at the same time so mesmerizing. This is a great piece to have, guys. Now, let's get the dimensions, and I'm going to share my experience with the wearability of the watch. I think we explain a lot why Monster is so popular, especially in the old days. Of course, many people still buying the Generation 4 as well. Now, the lug of Monster Gen 2 is 42.6. Okay, so 42.5, almost identical if I'm not wrong. Same as the SKX. Okay, but it looks compact. And I'll tell you why in a minute. The lug is, let me get it done this way for you guys, okay? Let me just reset this for you guys. Won't be too long. There you go. The lug to lug on the Gen 2 Monster is 47.6. Okay, but it works even shorter than that. Again, on the 48, of course, on the 50, very compact. Okay, the thickness of the Monster Gen 2 is, guys, you see that? Sorry, let me just include the back at the case back as well. 12.7, and as you can see, the touching point is really on the bezel from the top and all the way to the case back. So on the 13, and if you look from the side, you will notice that the crystal, again, classic Seiko design, the crystal, the Harlex crystal, is actually sitting beneath the layer of that Monster. So it really draws your attention into the middle of the dial, like that swirling design. It looks absolutely fantastic. Actually, guys, do you think that crystal is domed or it is a flat? Looks like it's got a bit of dome to it. I'm looking at now. So that's the dimension of the Monster. And guys, you can see the reason why I think it wears so compact even more than the dimensions suggest is because if you look at this, we'll call this half shroud of Monster design. Really, you got a bit of shroud from the top, and then that extends to become the lug. So that part of the shroud and lugs really is part of the one piece design. And the button is slightly more irregular. Okay, so you can see the top is going between sort of 1030 to 130 position, but if you look from the bottom, is going between 730 and all the way to about 4 o'clock, all the way to the crown position. So it's got a bit of more extent on this side of the watch. Give you a bit of that. Really, it's not set, what's the word? Unbalanced. No symmetry in terms of that piece there, but again, it's very funky, and I think that's the reason why it wears very compact, because with the two half shrouds extend to the lugs, but there's nothing really on the side to cover the whole watch. So when you look from the face up, it looks as it's being extended up, but really compact in terms of diameter of it. Okay, so I'm just gonna put on my wrist to give you another wrist shot. This is on my 7-inch wrist. This is how it wears, guys. Beautiful watch. Iconic divers. The Samurai. Sorry, excuse me. I'm keep missing them up. The Monster wears extremely compact. I'm not so sure about the new dimension for the Gen 4, but in terms of Gen 2, I gotta say, guys, it's extremely comfortable. The Monster surprised me because in my memory, when I look at the reviews on the previous generation of Monsters, I always thought they were very big, but when actually having it, it's extremely wearable. It wears as good as SKX, if it's not better. Seriously, guys. So 42.5 diameter, but wears like between 40 to 41. Okay, I'm loving it. Okay, so that's the dimension why I think this watch wears so well, and it's got a great following just from that perspective. The second thing I just want to touch on the design. The reason why I think you guys should just hold on to your cash and not buying a Gen 4 and buying a Gen 2. Again, if you're Seiko fanboy and you love the brand, you want to have some piece in your collection for the long term, is because I truly believe the watchmaker and designer back in the days, decades ago, they really didn't have too much of it in terms of restriction or company policy or design cues there to stopping them. And think about it. This is the Generation 2 Monsters. When Generation 1 came out, very similar to those designs in terms of indices, and when they did a Gen 2, they actually made a tremendous change. And correct me if I'm not wrong, I don't believe I've never seen an old Seiko in its history book that has the shark teeth indices like this. I'm just gonna bring it more closer so you guys can have a clearer picture of that indices. It is so bizarre, guys. I have 18 Seikos in my collection. Hands down, I'm loving this indices the best because it represent creativity. It represents the ability to think independently and create something that is truly unique. Without, walking on the treaded path, the designers had everything in their mind, and they were able to bring them out of their mind and did this. Unbelievable. And especially, guys, if you guys look from this angle again, just want to pick up the right angle with enough lighting, you can see how. I'm just getting zoom a bit better here, guys. You can see on the dial, right? The shark teeth, of course, right? If you look at normal Seiko iconic diver designs, all the indices they pop, they give you a really good 3D dimensions and pop out of the dial, right? All the way to the inner chapter ring, and then you run that up really nicely, very smoothly, very modernized design. But look at this monster, guys. Their inner chapter ring, they made the inner chapter ring so wide that covers half of the indices, and they only cover up to sort of halfway into inch indices, and then they cut off each one of them around the dial. So it looks like it's a mouth. It's really like a shark mouth that has full of its sharp teeth around it, and that all going towards the middle of the dial. Absolutely fascinating design, guys. I'm not sure whether this transfer through what I'm trying to say, and I'm hoping that you can appreciate I'm doing those close-up shots for you guys for the monster, because I don't believe there's a lot of contents on YouTube actually covers this. So brilliant design, guys. That tease and that inner chapter ring design is a one of a kind. Beautiful. Okay, so again, my main reason why I go back to Gen 2 is, of course, you can get many other colors, as you guys know. I think the model name is SRP455. That's the orange monster. That's for sure, right? Iconic, cult following. Get one of the Gen 2 because you will love those shark teeth if you like uniqueness and iconic. Okay, so that goes to the indice designs. The second thing is about the handset. See, guys, about a couple years ago, I had my first Samurai, and I loved. Let me just put it down for the monster. When a couple years ago, I had the Samurai, I like the hands so much because it's sporty, but at the same time, it's compact. There's no messing around really. The second hands, our hands, and mini hands, they are just it's one of the classic hands design really that Seiko has ever done in its divers. And when I learned that the Samurai really just borrow the handsets from monsters, I'm surprised when I have the monsters because it gives you a slightly different feeling. Of course, we can see the end tip on the monster. You can see that's more like a triangle on the end tip of the second hand that's sweeping around. The end bit, I'm not sure whether that's not just a play on this Samurai. I believe pretty much every single Samurai from the standard version as well is more rounded. It's more rounded. So there's a bit of change on that second hand, but everything else I think looks exactly the same. Okay, so the handsets are amazing. On the Monster Gen 2. Of course, the new monster carries the same spirit of the second hand as well. So lovely design cues from Gen 2. Beautiful design. Now, more specifically, what I think, if you can save up your cash and find a good condition SRP455, I call this on the box. It says Superior Blue. You guys, you really have to see these in your hands because, again, I'm hoping the lighting and the camera work is gonna transmit this onto your screen. But I'm gonna turn this bezel. This is a blue watch. Does it look like a blue? It does. But I'm telling you guys, the work on this dial and the color wave that has managed to squeeze onto the dial, and I don't know how they did it. For me, it's a half blue watch and half purple watch. I've never seen a dial like this, guys. It's amazing. Blue, all you gotta do is to give it a slight bit of light and it change the whole color for you. Look. Truly amazing. Wow, I'm just, hats off to the watchmakers that made this. So guys, if you are a big fan of the what do you call the Zingbi collection of monsters and any other Seikos that always offer very iconic shape and iconic divers with that exotic colors and color matchings and design cues, you always want to get a Zingbi, and it's very hard to get, if not impossible. And once they come out, they always trade it over 1,000 or 1,500 USD. It's going nuts, right? Some of those sumos and turtles and even samurais, and of course on those lines, right? Get one of those. I've never seen Zimbi before again, but this will do for me. I don't have the itch for a Zimbi special edition, a limited edition. After I'm owning this piece, I think the color, you have to experience this. You have to experience this yourself, right? So people talking about nowadays, the moment you see a photo online that don't do justice for the watch when you have it in real hands, on your hands, this watch speaks volumes. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Now, moving on, in terms of other aspects of the watch, as you can see, I'm just gonna cover the crown. The crown, so they've after decades, the crown still has those beautiful coatings in it. Of course, I think it's just a standard, maybe coating of, I don't know, zinc that looks like gold. Match up really well with that handset color. So blue and gold plays really well at this, right? So blue and gold plays really well. Again, that bracelet just shapes the whole watch. I think give it another class. So this monster is truly amazing. I'm loving it, guys. This is all about love. This monster. This guy's not leaving me. The previous owner bought it 4 or 5 years ago. Never had it serviced. So when I have this watch in the watch box, unworn overnight, it's gonna be about 40-45 seconds faster. Of course, right? Watches in this age, more than 10 years, of course, being genuinely cared for, but probably still needs a service. I was thinking maybe this watch has got magnetized because of, I don't know, it's got too close to my speakers and whatever phone, but I've checked, this watch is not magnetized at all. But yeah, the 435, I'm not sure whether that's the early generation of the 436, so runs quite a bit faster. Okay guys, it's about a minute faster a day if you put it down. So maybe I'll get a service next year. I don't know. Look, the conclusion is this guy's not leaving me. Just to show you guys the case back in case that you are interested. So you guys can see the limited edition, and there's a movement Japan. There's a serial numbers below it, and people saying that the last 3 digit, this one will be 61691. That's the specified number out of 1,000. So this is the 691 out of the 1,000. Very beautiful watch, guys. This monster, I'm not disappointed for. Of course, I would hope the movement runs much more accurate. Sort of that 10-15 seconds. I'll be happy. It's not, but that's fine. It's not gonna reduce any of my love and emotion towards this watch. Okay, so beautiful monster. Now, if you guys like the exotic design of monster, but because of supply demand and because it's over 10 years old watches, you don't want to get one of those old watches. You're not into it, right? You want to get something more modern, something more flashy in terms of specs, right? Even though the bezel of this is, wow, it's just astonishing. But you want to get something more durable. In your eyes, they're more catching up with the trend of how things go nowadays. You want a ceramic bezel. You're happy with how clear and how legible this is, but you don't want a normal Harlex. You've got too many Harlex. You want to, I don't mind Harlex. I'm loving Harlex, to be honest. But you want what everybody else wants. You want a sapphire crystal, but you don't want a normal Seiko iconic divers. You want something that provides that additional spice, that sort of exotic look. Then look no further. You don't have to get guys, I'm serious, okay? So I'm just putting those two together. You don't have to spend $1,000. You don't have to find online paying heaps of taxes and going through here and there to find a Zimbi model of Samurai. Of course, if you like the design of it, just buy this, guys. SRP455 you won't be disappointed, especially if you pair it up with a nice bracelet. I think it's a crowd pleaser. It's a so iconic design in terms of samurai, but in terms of colorway, it is amazing. Just imagine if done the dial for this one as a sunburst and clean dial rather than a ruffle. It will be even more iconic and future collectible. So guys, I'm just gonna put this samurai on my wrist to give you a bit of look on two of my most exotic Seiko divers. Okay, they are definitely scratch my itches around those Zimby models. I don't really think about them. I'm loving to get one Zimby one day, but they almost price out of my comfort zone, right? They trading way above those normal Seiko divers are, prospects are. Okay, so if you can't get one of the Monster old Gen 2, but you want to get something brand new, ceramic bezel, sapphire crystal, and you want the same design of hands, at least get one of those. They are beautiful as well, guys. Okay, so just closing up by putting up two watches together, Monster and Samurai. They're very unique. If you ask me to pick one out of the two, I don't think that's the fair question. If you can afford, you should definitely have one each in your collection if you can afford it. The other thing I forgot to cover the Monster is I'm really glad that back in the days, I'm not sure what's the current size of Monster in the Lagways. I'm hoping it's still 20, but instead of doing a 22 millimeter lug width, back in the days they've done a 20. You see, 19.4. Okay, so what that means is you can see in terms of design, like the lug width of 22 in those Seikos. There is no, it doesn't matter which bracelet you get, straight end link or taper like this, you don't see a lot of tapers on the spot around the top corner here. But because of how this 20 shaped up with the 20 millimeter lug width shaped up to be this 42 and a half a case, I love that stepping down. I think it's fantastic. I think it's very elegant, to be honest, guys. I think it's extremely elegant. If this watch was made with a 22 millimeter lug width, it would be a much more toolish, much more, of course, that sort of toolish look. But I definitely love how this watch come up with a 20 millimeter. I think it was a great choice by Seiko. Okay, guys. So I think I'm covered. I have covered everything I want to say about the watch. Of course, it will come up on my channel again. Love those two watches. Okay, guys. Any questions? Please let me know. But otherwise, you have a great day no matter where you are. Do something blessed, and you are big treasure. Okay. So hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm looking forward to see you guys next time. Bye bye, guys.